Is Kody in the loop on what's going on?
No, Maddie doesn't really even tell him that she's pregnant. He'll find out. There's no really reason to. They haven't spoken for a long time.
Wow, how long has it been since they've spoken?
It's probably been 2 or 3 years.
Janelle and I knew each other before Kody and I did. You know, she had married my brother, and they were married for about a year and a half. And fast forward when she ended up coming into our family, there was so many emotions surrounding that. There's just a lot.
Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. Meri Brown finally gets to the heart of where all of the conflict happened with Janelle. Now on the show, this long-standing difficult relationship the two of them had has been a focal point and a part of the storyline for the entirety of this show. And Meri explains in this episode as she's going through her boxes of her wedding dresses and notes and all of the remembering parts of the early part of our marriage as she's going through what's in storage and she's going to get rid of things, deconstructing and disentangling herself from her past. She discusses the elephant in the room. Janelle was once married to Meri's brother. On the show for years, Janelle has really downplayed this and acted like it was normal that, you know, a woman who was once married to someone else in polygamy would then marry somebody else. But she never really recognized what that might do to Meri. You know, there was a lot of Meri was so mean to me. Meri wasn't very nice to me. But there was never any sort of recognition that, oh, yeah, well, maybe it's because I was married to Meri's brother. And now I am an ex-sister-in-law, and now I'm moving from the brother to Kody. And maybe it's because Meri and her brother Adam were close, and now she's having to deal with Adam and Janelle's now part of her family. There is going to be feelings there, especially if you have loyalty to your siblings. I mean, if your sibling's ex marries your husband, wouldn't you be a little bit weird about that? Yeah. But even with that weirdness, Meri still had the ability to recognize that Janelle was trying to be as nice as possible joining the family, but she also recognized how difficult it was to become a plural wife.
I always felt like when Janelle got married, she was being really cool in the way that she was like including me, and she didn't want to hurt my feelings when, you know, because this is like the first plural wife and there was a lot of emotions, you know, like I had a lot of emotion. We all did. We're all trying to figure out like how to do this plural marriage thing. And that always made me feel very special that she did that. And honestly, I'm not sure if I ever told her that.
What she's talking about when it comes to what she thought was really sweet about Janelle doing was that Janelle's mom took a diamond from her ring with Janelle's stepfather and had it added to Meri's clatter ring that she had gotten with Kody. So it was a way to sort of bring a part of Janelle into Kody and Meri's relationship. And so she had given a diamond that was very small diamond that was special to her as a way to show like the unity. And Meri appreciated that. But if you want to even talk about what is even weirder about how these two got together, at least Janelle and Kody, was that after Janelle and Adam split, Meri and Kody rented a home with Janelle. Okay. And they lived in Janelle's house with her. And Janelle and Kody developed a relationship during that time where Janelle started considering adding Kody or becoming Kody's wife, unbeknownst to Meri. These kinds of conversations were happening. These feelings were getting developed. And so it felt a little bit shocking when Kody then added Janelle as a wife, because only a few months before that, Kody had been courting another woman with Meri, and that woman made the decision not to join the family. And then suddenly when that happens, Kody then is like, well, I'm going to marry Janelle, giving Meri zero time to deal with it. Meri's unraveling of polygamy was only one part of this episode, another part included Christine's unraveling of polygamy and conversating with David about arguments that they were having, disagreements. It is very clear to me that Christine spent a very long time in her life not being able to have disagreements with anyone or feeling comfortable sharing a dissenting point of view. And so even mild disagreements about David pushing back about Peyton describing his life in terms of movies and David saying that's not real, it's not practical, you need to use your heart, you need to use like how your own feelings, and then Christine getting a little bit like, well, this is how we managed all of the pain as we escaped into fiction and we watched movies together and books and all of that. It was very hard for us to process all of the trauma, but the fight isn't even that serious. It's really that Christine is forced to have to deal with her emotions, and she's dealing with a man that's allowing her to have an opinion that's not the same, and there's a back and forth. And it's wild because for how long will Christine have to like stuff all of this down, right? And that's where they get into really the damage that's caused within polygamy. And that's really what the overlapping storylines of Meri and Christine dive into, is both of them discussing the harms of polygamy. And the only one that actually defends polygamy in this entire episode is Janelle.
10 years, 15 years that I was married to Kody. So many hard times, just where reality was so difficult. It was easier, let's just put that all away. I need to let that go. It was so hard just to let things go. So put in a movie, just to escape.
The real world out there is different from the way you guys were raised and what you went through.
This was a longer conversation, and I want to just preface this by saying that to me, what I see with David and Christine is reminiscent of when David was on the set of a tell-all and he was answering questions about being married to Christine, and he told Suki that Christine is very naive, very, very naive about this world because she grew up in an insulated culture and cult where everything was very different than the outside world. And so her coping mechanisms and how she managed trauma and how she understands this world and how she understands conflict and how she manages her feelings and how everyday decisions are already planned for them. They don't have to think. They're not allowed to feel. And so to have to come out into this world and have to address those emotions, it's hard. And then the naivete is that they're not allowed to experience a lot of the different things that you and I out here would experience. Choosing the kinds of clothes we wear, the music we listen to, what kind of movies we're going to watch, what kind of friends we're going to have, what kind of beliefs we're going to have. Everything is planned for them. All of the decisions are made. It's all controlled. And that creates people that almost in some ways get stunted. And there is so much trauma in polygamy. What I thought David did a really good job in this episode was to say to Christine, like, listen, I understand why you all lived the way that you did. I understand that you needed to escape because of the trauma. I understand that what you were going through was so painful. But if you want to recover, and if Peyton wants to recover, and if Peyton wants to feel connected, and he needs to feel his emotions. He can't describe his feelings through a movie quote. It's a way to disconnect from the feelings, which is super common with trauma. It's very common with trauma to disconnect from to feel outside of your body. I know as a trauma survivor that that's how you can feel like you're disconnected from your trauma. And feeling can be a disconnect. And it's, to me, kind of just this reminder to Christine that, like, listen, you're out, but what you guys were doing to survive inside was a survival tactic. And now you don't need to do that out here. You can feel, you know? And what I found in the conversation between Christine and David was that he's encouraging her to feel, he's encouraging her to see things differently. And she's realizing things about the cult that she had no idea about. They got into consent and if marriages and women even have a choice in this group. And Meri's overlapping storyline is really about how women are forced to suffer, and they're told that if they suffer more, they're more blessed, which I've said on this channel for years.
Didn't handle myself the best all the time. I remember being very jealous. People ask all the time, were you not jealous? Well, yes, I was. How can you not be jealous? I thought I was living polygamy wrong. I thought I was a human being wrong. I thought I was a woman wrong, a wife wrong. I couldn't even have a baby, for heaven's sakes. So everything about me was wrong. It was hard. It was hard.
So when you start to hear honesty from these women about what they endured, about how they needed to shove down their feelings, about how basic human emotions were somehow wrong, like jealousy or anger or heartbreak, you weren't allowed to feel, right? In fact, you're told that all of those things are going to make you a better person. And that is if you suffer, and as long as you stay suffering, it's going to make you even more godly and better in heaven. And you must endure the pain to get to heaven. It's a sadistic belief system telling someone that in order to get to heaven, they must be hurt and must continue to hurt. And they're supposed to live contrary to the way that the human is designed to live. And we're finally seeing, instead of fighting about this woman felt this way, and I was mad at Christine, and I was mad at Janelle, and this and that, and all these complicated dynamics, it's talking about the feelings of what it did. The system itself created the problem. And for the show, it spends a lot of time allowing Kody to dictate that the women are all fighting and it's their fault, right? But it's not. It's not their fault. They're being controlled. Christine speaks about the fact that, she was so controlled by having to wear garments, and that the garments were a way for, her dressing to look frumpy. And when you look frumpy and you don't feel good about yourself and your self-esteem is low, it's much easier for a man to control you. If you're beat down all the time believing that everything you're doing is wrong, it's a lot easier for a man to control you. And so, like, Christine is still not even identifying yet that she was controlled by Kody, right? And so David's like trying to help her unpack all of that. And Meri, to feel like everything you're doing is wrong, it's contrary to a healthy life, which is going to create unhealthy coping mechanisms and maladaptive behavior. And it's going to create hierarchy and fights and anger and violence. It's amazing to see them unpack things in such a thoughtful way, to share the truth finally without each one of them going after, like, I'm mad at this person for doing this.
All it does is create a lot of hate, a lot of jealousy, a lot of control. And the biggest culprit of all, people may not let me hear it, is the man.
You're not of the opinion if they're adults, they can just pick whatever they want to do.
No. I've definitely seen that. I've talked to friends that their biggest thing is, what I love about polygamy is they compete for my love. The guy has an ego. They do have an ego.
No, but they teach you that it makes you better. It makes you better. You feel those feelings, you learn to deal with those feelings.
So let me just bring you up to speed. If you are not familiar with polygamous cultures, or you've never had friends that are from polygamy, or you don't interact with people that lived in this cult, you might miss what they're actually discussing. And the conversation here is not one about the harms of polygamy. It's whether it's, in David's eyes, whether it should be legal or not, whether it should be permissible in a society like this, whether an adult woman can truly consent to joining. Because if a man can control the woman through jealousy and using the jealousy of that woman to keep her obedient to him, and then withdraw that love if she doesn't do something right, and keeping her under his control through all of their rules, and the fact that he's the priesthood and he's the one that does the blessing, what David is saying to Christine is that, no, Christine, I don't believe that adults can choose this life or should be able to choose this life, because this life is abusive. It creates violence. It creates inequality. It hurts the women, and the men get off on it because they're the ones that get all the control. And so Christine says, I know, but in our world, they told us that if we suffered, it would make us a better person. That by choosing polygamy, we would become better. We would become more evolved. And what David is saying to her is, that is a lie. Check this out.
Basically, go ahead and have a miserable life, because when you die, you earn the celestial kingdom. You earn all the way up and you get to live with God. If you endure, that's sad. How about if we enjoy to the end? I'm just saying, what if that was can we just enjoy maybe to the end?
So what Christine acknowledges during this conversation with David is that they're having this disagreement about Peyton not identifying his own emotions, the coping strategies that were needed to survive polygamy. Christine acknowledging that she doesn't even know what the truth is, because what she was told in her childhood and adulthood was a lie, because there were so many lies that she was told throughout her life. She has a hard time understanding what the truth is about all aspects of her life. And when she makes comments like, I didn't feel controlled by Kody, David's saying, but you were controlled by Kody, by the jealousy and how it was used against you and how you needed to obey him. And David saying, that's what I've witnessed a million times with guys, is if you don't obey, you're not going to heaven. Christine acknowledging that they are taught to suffer and endure to the end, and they're not allowed to just be happy. You know, she's having to, in real time, unpack all of the lies and pull them out of her life, and then learn to be in a healthy relationship, and then also recognize that, wait a minute, maybe I was controlled by Kody. Maybe this shouldn't be legal. Maybe women can't consent. And all the while, you've got an overlay of Meri saying the same thing. This is Meri and what she said.
I don't know, it's an interesting idea in the church culture that we came from, that suffering was going to make you better. Because if you suffer, then you have it made. I don't think that we need to endure the pain and the struggle and the challenges. I think what we need to do is figure out how to go through them.
So imagine you're Meri Brown and you're in a marriage for how many years, and you stay because you're taught that if you suffer, you haven't made, that you've achieved the dream because you're going to get to heaven and you're going to get all of your blessings. That's just what she said. And I just want to preface, I just need to put this out there, that I have said this for years. And there was a point in time when Meri was still with Kody, very much still in the mindset, that she responded to me making this claim that suffering was a part of their belief system, and that she stays because the suffering will get her better blessings. And she was so defiant against it. She was so defiant on season 6 when confronted about, people say that I'm only doing this because I'll get to heaven. And she said, no, I want to do this. Everything that us out here have been saying about the cult is true, and they're finally just saying it. And it's sad that mixed within all of this is Janelle and that comment where she's defending polygamy, because it's sad, because Christine and Meri are telling the truth. We suffered. We were controlled. We were not allowed to feel. And Janelle's like, they're making broad brush, comments. It's dangerous to say these things when referencing to David. But when you overlay that against what everyone else is saying, it just shows you how out of touch she is from where everyone else is. This is deconstruction. That's what we're watching. It's truly amazing to hear them come to these realizations. And maybe someday along the lines, they'll realize that people like me and Kristen Decker and others that have, stood up and spoken out aren't the enemies. We were just telling the truth. It's good to see them finally addressing the truth. And it just breaks my heart that with all of that truth, Janelle still can't see it. So that's part of this episode. The other part we'll get into in a little bit. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and click the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, besties.